In the vast, meticulously curated archives of the Global Survey, every sector is accounted for. Every grid coordinate is logged, analyzed, and categorized according to a protocol that has been refined over decades. The system is designed for absolute certainty, a digital cartographer of unparalleled precision. Its purpose is to eliminate ambiguity, to replace the unknown with cold, hard data. This particular sector, designated Grid 734 Delta, was no exception. Its file was thin, its history unremarkable. The official designation, stamped with digital finality across every relevant entry, was empty. The classification was unequivocal. No structures. Our deep ground penetrating radar archives showed no foundations, no tunnels, no geological anomalies that could be mistaken for artificial construction. The historical survey logs were blank. No records. No previous surveys had ever flagged so much as a magnetic deviation. It was a void in the data, a patch of digital terrain that had been passed over time and time again, deemed unworthy of a second look. It was, for all intents and purposes, a non-entity, and most importantly, no signals. The sector was passively silent. Decades of listening post data confirmed it. Not a whisper of electromagnetic radiation, not a tremor of seismic activity. It was a dead zone, a perfect baseline against which other active sectors were measured. The file was closed. The decision was made. The next step was to archive the coordinates and reallocate sensor resources to more promising regions. There was absolutely no reason to scan. But we scanned anyway. It wasn't a hunch. It wasn't a violation of protocol. It was the final perfunctory step in a long and tedious decommissioning checklist, a last system-wide diagnostic to confirm the scanner's zero-state calibration before powering it down. A formality. We expected the sweep to return a perfect, clean baseline of nothing, and it lit up instantly. A single, instantaneous, vertical spike that slammed the sensor readings from absolute zero to maximum saturation in less than a nanosecond. It wasn't a gradual rise. It wasn't a flicker of interference. It was a wall of data, appearing from nowhere. That's not how signals behave. Natural phenomena and random noise have a signature, a chaotic, unpredictable waveform. This was the opposite. It was a solid, unwavering plateau of energy, not noise. We checked everything. We ran a full diagnostic on the scanner itself, convinced it was a hardware failure. Every component reported optimal function. We rerouted the signal through every filter we had. The data remained unchanged, impossibly clean. Not interference. We restarted the scan. The result was identical. A second time, the signal appeared instantly, at the exact same intensity. Same depth, same strength. The signal wasn't just a blind pulse of energy, it had dimension. As the scanner's resolution matrix began to process the return echo, a shape started to form, not the irregular, amorphous blob of a geological deposit. This was different. Lines appeared, clean, geometric, orthogonal. It was unmistakable. Structure, and it was perfectly centered. The signal's origin point coincided exactly with the geometric center of the grid square. Not meters off, not shifted to one side. It was precise, locked, centered, exactly where nothing was supposed to be. The two realities could not coexist. The database, our absolute source of truth, claimed this space was a void. Our live sensors, which had just passed every diagnostic, showed a massive, artificial, and perfectly positioned object. Empty does not have right angles. Empty does not emit a signal of maximum intensity. The database was wrong, or it was lying. That's when we stopped the scan. The immediate problem was no longer the signal itself, but the discrepancy. An error of this magnitude couldn't be accidental. A structure this large isn't misplaced. A signal this strong isn't overlooked. So we paused the active scan, and we started asking a different question. Why? Why mark it empty? We dug into the archives, this time looking for evidence of a cover-up. We found it in the revision history. Older survey maps, dating back 50 years, showed a faint anomaly in that sector. But the entries were redacted. The data logs were missing. The authorization codes for the change to empty were corrupted, pointing to user profiles that didn't exist. It was a digital dead end, carefully constructed to prevent this exact line of inquiry. This wasn't an error, it was a deliberate act of erasure. We increased resolution. We resumed the scan, pushing the emitter power and processing gain to their absolute limits. The structure sharpened. What was a simple outline became a complex blueprint. Internal corridors, repeating modules, a clear and undeniable architecture. It confirmed it. This was not just a structure, it was a facility, locked in place. And then we saw the pattern. The signal wasn't just a constant, steady broadcast. Embedded within the carrier wave was a sequence, a repeating, rhythmic pulse, a heartbeat. It was simple, but it was intentional. Patterns mean intent. Intent means intelligence. This wasn't just a dead relic, it was active. Empty doesn't mean nothing. It was a lesson we were learning in real time. In our system, empty was a dismissal, a final word. But here, it had been used as a shield, a form of camouflage more effective than any active stealth technology. Who would ever look for something in a place officially certified as a void? That's when we stopped. For good. This was no longer a survey mission. We were trespassing. We had stumbled upon something that powerful, unknown entities had gone to great lengths to hide. Continuing the scan was not just a technical operation, it was a geopolitical act with consequences we couldn't predict. And we remarked it. We erased the empty tag and replaced it with a high-priority, restricted access classification. Then, we removed the location. The coordinates were scrubbed from all but the highest-level security logs. We put the secret back in its box. But this time, we locked it from our side. Because this wasn't an error. It was a decision. A decision made by someone else, long ago, to hide something of immense significance. And our accidental discovery was now a decision of our own. And it wasn't alone. Before shutting down, we ran one last wide-angle, low-resolution sweep of the surrounding sectors. And we saw them. Faint, intermittent contacts. Ghosts in the data. We focused on one. For a fraction of a second, it flared, revealing an identical signal signature before vanishing as if it was never there. It was aware. It was listening. Just hidden better. So we shut everything down. We severed the connection, purged the active memory buffers, and powered down the entire regional sensor array. We couldn't risk another transmission. We couldn't risk being seen. And we changed the label. Not just for 734 Delta, but for the entire protocol. The empty designation was now considered compromised. Because if one empty location lied, if one sector, certified as a void for 50 years, was actually hiding an active, intelligent, and networked presence, then the entire foundation of our knowledge was fractured. The map was a lie. The archive was a fiction. Our certainty was an illusion. The question was no longer what was in grid 734 Delta. The question became, how many others did too? That's the real problem. The scope of the deception. How many other secrets are hidden in plain sight, protected by the simple, arrogant assumption that empty means nothing? This wasn't the first anomaly of its kind we'd found, just the most undeniable. And it won't be the last. We're scanning the rest.